Hello everyone, my name is Makai Valdez, and today I will be going over the significance of the Renaissance. Now, before I go over the significance of it, I have to tell you what is the Renaissance, and we have to learn about what it is and everything that happened in between the Renaissance. So first, we're going to define what is Renaissance, and in simple terms, it's just a period of time between the 14th and 17th century in which there were many technological advancements made. And diving a little deeper into that, there's only about three aspects that are very major when you think about the Renaissance. Those being first, humanism, second, the science and technology, which is just all the creations and innovations that were made during the time period in the Renaissance. And third, the art and architecture, which is just the paintings, the artists, and the buildings that were made and all the ideas behind it. And as we learn about those three aspects, then in the fourth topic, I can exemplify why the Renaissance was so significant. So first, we're going to go into humanism. And humanism is just essentially an intellectual philosophy developed during the Renaissance. And thinking about the main points of humanism, it really boils down to about four topics. The first one being individualism, which is very apparent in today's society. You know, individualism is basically just you being able to do what you want to do, having the self-freedom to achieve what you want to, believe in whatever religion or opinion or ideology that you want to, and essentially just freedom. And then humanism also goes into self-improvement and just being the best person that I can be and trying to achieve that every day, which in short terms is just individual progress or making progress to be a better person. Then humanists believed in high education, which was just being well versed in areas like critical thinking, being well versed in literature, philosophy, religion, mathematics, science, everything like that. And then lastly, humanism dealt with civic virtue or just being a good citizen in your society or having community unity and living together in harmony to progress or just flourish during that lifetime. Then we're going to go over the science and technology or all the inventions, or at least some of them, and the many important creations that were made during the Renaissance. First, we have the printing press, made by Johannes Gutenberg in 1436, the first steam engine, made by Thomas Savery in 1698, the first microscope by Zacharias Janssen in 1590, the heliocentric theory, which was created by Nicholas Copernicus in 1543, and the advancement in mathematics, specifically algebra and geometry. And when you look at these creations or these advancements, you can clearly see how these translate to the present day. You have the printing press, which translates to printers and fax machines, the first steam engine, which was the gateway to the creating the first automobile and making all of the cars that we have today. The first microscope that led to all of our histology and microscopy and just everything biology and anatomy, which was just able to further our knowledge in the realm of science. The heliocentric theory, which was the theory based upon the fact that the sun is the middle of our solar system and every planet orbits around it. And then you have the advancements in algebra and geometry, specifically scientific notation, in which we were able to start using these letters to represent variables to create more complex problems to solve our problem or to solve more problems and just advance into all forms of mathematics that we have today. Third, we have the art and the architecture of the Renaissance. From left to right, we can see all these artists and these buildings that were created during the Renaissance from the School of Athens that was created by Raphael in 1509, which depicts many philosophers and aristocrats in the School of Athens, which has strong balance and focal points. The Last Supper, made by Leonardo da Vinci in 1495, which depicts Jesus at his table with his disciples, which which depicts Jesus as the focal point, him being in the middle. And then the creation of Adam, created by Michelangelo in 1508, which shows, well, the creation of Adam, but it has a strong sense of realism, humanism, and just a focal point, whether it be Jesus or God or Adam. And then if you look at the bottom, you have the Tempietto, built in 1502, and St. Peter's Basilica in 1506. Now, what you can see in all of these art forms was the strong sense in focal points or balance. And especially in the architecture, you can see a strong sense of symmetry or columns and rows and geometric shapes. This idea of realism and classicism was a strong ideology behind art and architecture, which gave it a more profound look and it made it just look a lot better. Like in the Tempietto, you have the columns supporting a circular geometric shape, and you can see the same thing in St. Peter's Basilica. Lastly, I'm going to exemplify the significance of the Renaissance. And when we think about why the Renaissance is so important, we can think about all of the inventions and advancements that just laid the pathway for modern society's technology. Like I was saying, the first steam engine was a gateway for us to create these automobiles and to create these gas cars. And then you have the first printing press, which created a gateway to printers and fax machines, which then segued off into newspapers and us being able to just send out information in a large capacity. Then we have the ideologies presented by philosophers and mathematicians that sparked the new creations that are extremely relevant today. And what you see in these two bullet points is that they're extremely similar in the fact that they're almost the same thing, but it is just to emphasize how strongly these inventions and advancements were as to why they're so important. You know, the heliocentric theory created our basis of time essentially, and then going into the first microscope that paved the way into our histology and our tissues and being able to see all the different layers of the skin and seeing how each individual cell worked. It built the basis of our anatomy and our sciences as a whole. And then our mathematic advancements, which led the groundwork for all of our math forms, such as statistics and algebra and calculus and all of that. And then the artwork, reviving the classical themes and techniques that you see in artwork today, which you look at the White House and how it's symmetrical and has those columns and geometric shapes that I was talking about. And then the strong focal points in drawings today where your eyes are drawn to, and the realism and making things look as human and perfect as possible are still things that you can see today in today's art. And here at the end is just a quote of the Renaissance of how it is essentially the gateway to the modern world, which is just to nail home the fact of why the Renaissance is so significant is because all of the advancements and inventions made in there created basically everything we have now. And without the Renaissance, we wouldn't have a lot of the things that we have, such as our computers or our knowledge or our ideologies and our religions and our culture. It's just the Renaissance basically created all of that. And here are all the sources that I used. Thank you.